Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. Hopefully this is really quick. This is something that all Black people need to know. The 4 cornerstones of wealth. My mission is to build, manage, preserve, and transition wealth for Black people and their families. I commit time, energy, conviction, and passion to this work, applying my experience and judgment on behalf of Black people. The 4 cornerstones of wealth. I believe in addressing these 4 cornerstones of wealth is essential in order to feel the sense of financial security you and your family hope to achieve over the course of your lives. Investments, the growth assets you have set aside to build wealth and provide financial independence in retirement. Credit, the liability side of the balance sheet, primarily used in borrowing and financing major purchases and business and requirements. Risk management, the strategies that help protect your wealth against both measurable and unforeseen risk. Trust, estates, and fiduciary issues. Legacy planning that will identify your intentions to ensure your wishes are carried out for your beneficiaries. Building wealth. Will I have enough money? Am I on the right track? This is the first cornerstone of wealth. Many people question whether they are in a course that will lead successfully to their goals. They wonder if based on the course they are on, working, saving, and investing, if they will have sufficient funds to retire. If we have the chance to work together, I can take you through investment planning process to determine the course you're on and help you determine that answer. Managing assets. How should I invest? Though many people, this is cornerstone number 2 of wealth. Though many people worry about maximizing their investment returns, managing risks is every bit as important and more. The key to doing things right means seeking the best risk-adjusted returns on a consistent basis. We look for investment that value risk-adjusted returns rather than reaching to beat an index. If you invest in stocks, understand that your losses will always outweigh your gains, almost by a factor of 2. So if your portfolio suffers a 10% loss, you almost have to gain back 30% to break even. I spend a lot of time in conversation and education with Black people here on my channel on this topic. It's important that any investment advice I give is centered on reducing risk and protecting assets based on Black people's individual needs, goals, and risk objectives. You manage risk through custom tactical allocations. Which investor do you want to be? Investor A or Investor B? Year 1 plus 100% for Investor A plus 8% Investor B. Year 2 minus 50% for Investor A plus 9% Investor B. The average for Investor A for both years is plus 25%. The average for Investor B is plus 8.5%. Now everybody wants to be Investor A when they hear about 100% returns. Fund managers are compensated on this and taking more risk apparently paid off for the more aggressive investor. I want to show you about Investor B, and here's why. A process of risk-adjusted performance can keep Black people from letting emotions, fear, and greed guide investment decisions. Did you hear that? Emotions doesn't just include fear of losing your money, but it also includes greed. It's an emotion. It's not a psychological standpoint. We manage money for dollars and not percent returns in dollars. So let's take a look. If both investors invested $1 million, year 1, Investor A had a return of $2 million. Remember, he had 100% return. Investor B had a return of $1,080,000. Year 2, Investor A lost $1 million. Remember, Investor B had a return of $1,177,200. Now, which investor do you want to be? Which buys more groceries? While this is an exaggerated example, we find that many professionals continue to focus on percentage returns. This example illustrates what a significant impact can be made simply by reducing risk and focusing on limited volatility. So who came out ahead? Investor B came out ahead. Why? Because Investor B actually ended up back at square one with $1 million. He didn't gain anything, even though in 1 year he made 100% return. Investor B ended up with additional money, profit. That's why I focus on risk reducing emotions and helping Black people achieve their goals. Number 3, preserving wealth. I've made many videos about preserving wealth. This is cornerstone number 3 of wealth. Will my money outlive me? How can I derive a reliable retirement income from my investments? And this is something that I accuse Black people of not doing. The majority of Black people. I'm talking about 70% of Black people. For some reason, Black people do not have it in their mind that their family is their family. What do I mean by that? They are so selfish that they don't even understand that you don't get money and spend it all and leave nothing to your children. I say about 70% of Black people suffer from this. I'm making this up, but this is based on the families that I know preserve wealth. And I think only about 20 to 30% of Black families who have been here since the Mayflower have accumulated wealth and preserve wealth. And they pass this on to the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. The people in the lower class and the middle class and the Blacks are very selfish. I know many Black people who say, I'm not paying for my kid to go to college. What? Then what is he going to do? What are you living for? You're not a part of this world. You're not a part of this time. You're not a part of the financial stepping stones that all other populations are going through in the United States. They buy their kid a car. They buy their kid a house. They pay for their school. And if you just had a negative reaction to any of those 3 things, you're a part of the problem in the Black population. I've heard many Black people say, when he's 18, he's getting out of the house. What? That's the attitude of a peasant. Let me repeat that. I want you to get angry. That's the attitude of a peasant. And that's a fact. That's not me trying to be just insulting. I'm trying to tell you, trying to awaken you. A lot of people who are Black, and preachers say this because they want your money. A lot of poor people squeeze their dollars so tightly and have absolutely no concept. Here's the rich concept. Have no concept that you have to make your money work for you and not you work for money. So they're squeezing, and they're trying to avoid the very thing while suffering the very thing that they're trying to avoid, which is being poor, staying broke, not having money, not having wealth. When you come out and say, I'm a financial planner, I cost $30,000. Well, that means that if you can't afford the $30,000, that perhaps something is wrong in your life, that you aren't able to hire somebody who can kick you up several notches above everybody else. You're in competition. Life is a competition. If you don't understand that, you need to grow up, seriously. Somebody has misled you, misinformed you, miseducated you. You need to develop a personalized plan to help guide you to and through retirement. You need to develop an approach that allows you to take a look at your goals, understand the financial challenges, and then construct an income stream you can live with, one that supports your lifestyle. That means over and above how you want to live. So you have to have enough income so that you can do all the things that you want to do and yet still accumulate money that you can then pass on. You need to understand the importance of budgeting for retirement and identifying any financial gaps. It's important to identify key risks that can impact your strategy, including longevity, if you live too long. inflation, market risk, and your own comfort with risk. So this is why they say when you're older, you cannot take a bunch of risk, because if you're wiped out, you don't have the luxury of time on your side to recover from being wiped out. Healthcare cost and family considerations, so that you don't wipe out your wealth at the end of your life because you've gotten sick and you have this long hospital stay or something like that. You need to construct a retirement income strategy designed to meet your monthly living expenses. And then but first you need to sit down and figure out what is your monthly living expenses and how can you accumulate wealth to preserve your lifestyle. Retirement income. Investors in the baby boom generation are retiring in record numbers. They are looking to replace their earned income with a reliable income stream from their investments and other sources. And that's the problem with a lot of black people. They do not have different streams of income. If right now you're listening to me, black people, and you don't have 3 different sources of income, that's earned income, passive income, and investment, you're doing it wrong. And I've said many, many times, I've made many videos talking specifically about that. The most reliable way to meet current and future income needs is to seek the most consistent risk-adjusted returns. You need to be relatively risk-averse and manage for dollars instead of percentages. It is important to consider the full range of potential income sources and not investments alone to meet retirement income needs well into the future. Finally, the 4th cornerstone of wealth, transition to the next generation. Who will carry out my interest after I'm gone? And I just talked about this. You need to think about your family wealth for 3 generations. You, your children, and your children's children. If you're just living a life, having fun, going out and have sex, and I hate to bring this up, because probably the people who do that probably won't click on this video, but I just have to touch on it just to serve as an example. If you're doing that and you're not thinking of your life in terms of you, your children, and your grandchildren, you're doing it wrong. And I'm not going to be one of those and I'm going to tell you that a lot of the information that you hear about black people is wrong, is an out and out lie. There are not 70% of black children born out of wedlock. That is a complete bald-faced lie. And it's repeated by black and white people, allegedly reporting stuff, right? Allegedly saying it as a problem that they want to discuss to overcome. It's just like in computers when you have the antivirus companies create a virus and then send out an email talking about this virus that's going around, and they have the solution. That's exactly what it is. It's an imagined problem. There is no 70% of black children born out of wedlock. Anybody telling you that is a liar. And if they're not a liar intentionally lying to you, they are ignorant of the truth. Fact, 80% of black people are middle class and up, which includes all the rich people too. Let me repeat that. 80% of black people are middle class and up. Every population in the United States, at least, has about anywhere from 60 to 80% middle class and up. It doesn't matter what group or category that you're going to lump some group in that you can identify. 60 to 80% of, I know for a fact, I know the black numbers are 80%. And every day, poor black people transition out of the lower class and go to the middle class or go to the upper class every single day. There's not this lifelong minimum wage people that the news agencies would have you believe. Now, for the black women who says that there's no good Negroes out there, blah, 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 all you need to do is look for a Negro that is looking towards a future talking about he wants to create a legacy that will last all the way to the third generation, his grandchildren. That's all you need to do. Then, well, first of all, you need to go hang out where such a Negro would hang out. I'm sorry, you're not going to find him at the club. And if you're hanging at the club, that should tell you something, right? About yourself, right? I know, I don't pull punches. As you grow older, you need to put a plan in place to ensure your intentions are carried out for the money you have accumulated. This will help you see that your legacy is carried out for the benefit of your family and your community. We don't need you going to the club and being a loose woman or a loose man. If you're that type of person in the black community, you don't need to consider yourself black because you're contributing nothing. Oh, I know you. I know you would, but I'm black. No, you're not a part of the community. You can't go out and have all the sex that you want and then come back and try and talk about something serious. You're not a serious person. Well, I'm young. Okay, then you be young at 45 years old with 5 kids, with 3 dads. You're not a part of the community. You have absolutely nothing to do with the black community. Nothing. Why am I saying that? Because 80% of the rest of black people are actually doing stuff for the community. They're middle class, they're upper middle class, and they're upper class. And they are working. And they are married. I know that you hear all of these negative things about black people and you think that they are true. And if you're in that situation, you think because you hear these negative things and that you're a part of those negative things, that this is something that is universal for black people. I'm sorry to tell you, the negative things that you hear about black people are untrue. And you are not a part of the community. 10 to 20% of black people have been here since the Mayflower. Those families have grown and grown and grown and grown and grown, and they accumulated a lot of wealth so that even till today, those families are still rich and they're passing on both the legacy and that wealth. Now, under that are the other wealthy black families. And under that are the middle class, the middle class. Middle class is around $100,000, $200,000 a year. Now, I said in my other videos that you probably didn't watch, that if you're not making $60,000 to $100,000 a year, that you need to drop what you're doing, follow my advice, the money's out there, and go set your life up. There is no universal poverty for black people. It's a damn lie. What's the saying? There's lies, statistics, and then there's damn lies, something like that. There is no universal poverty for black people. I know the people in Atlanta, I think Atlanta, openly see that there is a very strong middle to upper middle black class in Atlanta. When I was there, there was a whole bunch of black-owned businesses, a whole lot. I went to an auction for one of the big towers, the big office buildings, and a black person was bidding on it. I wasn't bidding on it. And the white people, now listen to this. So several people were bidding on it, and the black person had the high bid. The white guy turned to his competitor. You see this? This is in Atlanta. And he said, "Will you go in half with me?" And the other white guy said yes. And they outbid the black guy. What is that story about? It's not about black versus white, although it is. It's about there was a black guy bidding on an office building in the millions. There are people who say, you can play the game, but if they're changing the rules on you, you can't win. But I'm saying there's a black guy bidding millions of dollars on a high-rise tower, office tower. And I was complaining that although black people owned a whole bunch of black-owned businesses there, they didn't own the central city with all the towers where the real money is. Imagine that you get $10,000 a month for each office space in the building. Each. $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 for each office space. Each. That's a lot of cabbage, right? So remember this. You need to write this down somewhere in your notes. The 4 cornerstones of wealth: building wealth, managing assets, preserving wealth. That means to overcome taxes, inflation, and all that stuff, right? Preserving wealth. This is so important that all of the billionaires and millionaires have special meetings that they go to just on preserving wealth. And finally, transition to the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.